on multiple occasions, the worst of which is when I played Stringe, Stringe against him, and
SCR, scringe.
Stringe with the T,
Oh,
Will.
stringe. Okay. Yes, I understand.
And it was in this really weird position where, yeah, I played Stringe and okay, there's a lot of innuendos, I'm sure, going on in chat, but,
Just
it
gotta
was
power through it, Josh.
it took him, like, 6 minutes to challenge, and that just goes to
Ah,
show it's such a high probability rack, but both of us are so unsure about our word knowledge that it was just one of the worst possible things that could happen. You play a ridiculous phony and your opponent's just like, "This might be the stupidest challenge ever." No, it was the stupidest play ever, dude.
but that's that feeling when you play a word and you think and you think it was good when you play it, and then your opponent stops you. So in live play, the way that that's done, the word that you say to your opponent when you want them to stop so you can think about challenging is hold, right? That's what we say. You say hold. Um, when that happens, it's happened to me a little bit, not that often because I know the dictionary pretty well, but
Mhm.
sometimes it happens where I play a word, maybe even a word such as rimplier, where I'm almost positive it's good when I play it. Then my opponent holds it, and I realize, ooh, I think I made a boo boo. And as you're sitting there waiting for your opponent to play, it's just like tormenting, right? It's just so painful because you're waiting and seeing, am I going to escape punishment here, or am I going to receive the wrong end of a challenge from my opponent?
You basically go through all the stages of grief.
Yeah,
It's just like,
yeah.
you're just, like, in denial, it's like, "No, that's a word," and then you're just like, "Oh, maybe it
Yeah.
isn't." As we see, this is a very interesting, second rack for Orry. It's the exact same rack that, Alec had in our previous game, um, of AIILNST, but this time there's a bingo available, which Orry finds swiftly, if I may say so myself.
Absolutely. And Cesar is caught there. Oh wow! Look at this! Right out of the bag, Ori drew Resojet.
Whoa, good find. Yeah, it
Whoa!
took me a second there.
So obviously, this is a word that, again, if you are a long time seasoned Scrabble player that has been studying the dictionary, this is a word that is going to look familiar to you, possibly, of Resojet. And
There
there
you
it is.
go.
He's played it, and that's a nice spot for it. Um,
Wow.
Wow. And in response, Cesar drew to his kind of nice leave of niners, or inners, however you want to say. He drew another I, which unfortunately on this board, he will not be able to counter with a bingo. So Ori is out to a big, big lead. Ori starting the game playing hid and then bingoing on his next two turns while Cesar has to deal with that Q. It slowed him down so much.
Yeah, this is a pretty terrible scenario for Cesar. He could have played QI, um, for 13 more points, and I'm sure he's regretting that very much so at this point. I mean, this is so bad. You have a huge triple triple open, you're down 127, you don't have a bingo, or maybe you do have a bingo and you're worried you're missing one, and you just have to, yeah, you might have to just leave it open.
Yeah, that's a clever idea, right? So the nice thing about what Cesar just did is, even though he did not bingo with his leave of inners on his play after Chi, he that's still, it doesn't mean that leave isn't very, very good. There are many, many bingos that he can draw by simply plopping that I that he drew back onto the board and try again on his next turn. And the beautiful thing about it is it does not do anything to obstruct the T of tailings, and it basically forces Orry, a very, very clever player in this regard. We were talking earlier about how every play that your opponent makes is a clue about how you should proceed on your turn. And when you see your opponent play just an I right
I
there.
was gonna
You
say, I think
will
Orry
block
was
the
about
T.
to
You will block the T.
he was about to adopt Cesar, if we have any chess
But
players in chat.
Cesar has a bingo now, right? He's gonna bingo, so
Yep,
hopefully he
like
can.
60.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Well,
Oh, no, he has
Hyder,
Resojets. Yeah, he
yeah,
has Resojets.
Resojets or Hyder, whatever he
Yeah.
wants. Like there are a couple different ways he could go. Yeah, what do you think
Sure.
about that, Josh? What's your assessment of
Well,
Renans
first of
and
all, for
Hyder
some
or
reason,
Renans and Resojets?
I only saw wow. Wow. We see a challenge by Orry.
Very surprising. Wow. Okay,
What is
now
he challenging? Hyder,
must be
maybe.
challenging Hyder. Okay, so this was mentioned earlier. I saw in the chat. We didn't get a chance to address it. I think Bill Rex 84. Hi, Bill. By the way, nice to see you. Had said maybe this is a time to explain double versus 5 point challenge. We actually did address that earlier, but I just want to emphasize that this game in the NWL dictionary is a double challenge game. So when you challenge, as Orry did, he challenged Renans, and it is a valid word, and Hyder, I should say. And that means he loses his turn. He just lost his turn in a game where he's up by 70, and he gave Cesar incredibly valuable time to dump some bad tiles from this ugly rack of high pointers and try to bingo with his blank. Cesar could easily get a lot of these bad clunky letters off his rack here and bingo on his next turn. Now, he doesn't have a great way to do that, but I'm sure he'll figure out something to play.
This is yeah, I am extremely surprised by the speed at which that was challenged. Wow, he just
He
exchanges.
exchanges. That's interesting.
Ooh, how
Wow. And
quickly
Orry just,
fizzes.
okay, so that was a big swing there. Cesar exchanges. Now, Bises was going to come down no matter what in that turn. I don't think Cesar had, ironically enough, he did not have a play to that S in tailings, right? How rare is that when you can't even play a 4-letter word that pluralizes from your rack? But unfortunately for Cesar, he felt like he had to exchange. I think I would have played something there. Um, but Orry increasing his lead even more. But Cesar should be able to find a bingo here.
Well, it's really tough, but yeah, I'm sure there are things there. I remember I missed in a recent game. I missed Kumaru, but
Right.
Caumarou. But yeah, what is? I think it's just Renans. He just doesn't remember Renans, and it looks
I
so
may not have
stupid.
remembered Renans.
It
Yeah.
just looks so stupid if you don't know the words. Like, no, Renan is good with two N's, not three N's. So maybe that's what it was. But he also has such a huge rack that even if he loses the challenge, he made the decision that if that's a word, I mean, I'm still in dominant position. So
Good
hey,
point. That's true. So yeah, this is a classic situation. You run into this every so often, where you have two blanks on your rack at the same time. And just from personal experience, these are definitely the plays where I am most apt to miss the best play simply because the number of permutations that you have to go through to be absolutely sure you're not missing anything is immense, right? With two blanks on your rack. Um, and actually, Cesar,
wow,
that is so impressive. So
wow,
Cesar plays Guayacum. That is the highest scoring play available for him with these two blanks. And he's
that is
found
an
it.
amazing find.
It's a
I
great,
mean,
great play. Now, here's a question. If Orry plays hideable, right? So look at this, everybody in the chat, right? Define hideable. So that is a valid word, able to be hidden. But this, I'm almost positive, is not a word. So will Orry try to play hideable through the B of Bises? And could he potentially run the risk of losing a second challenge in this game if Cesar feels compelled to
I
challenge?
actually think that's the most likely scenario here.
It seems pretty probable. And I do see that, yeah, bingo, the weird word of day shield. is not playable here. They are playing NWL and Collins. So Orry is going to be sorely tempted to play hideable with that extra E, and it happens to not be in the dictionary. Then it's up to Cesar whether he wants to challenge it. Boy, I would be very tempted to play Zyde here, even if I was any bit unsure, right? Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, ZA from the Z in Biz is Zaide, Zaideh. That looks like a great play. Might even be the best play. But yeah, when you're in this position, okay, he plays Hauled. I
Plays
mean,
Hauled.
that's a
That's
very safe play.
Yeah, it's not a phony, so that's good. That makes it a little better than hideable right on that basis. But again, hideable does in double challenge. I would play that sometimes, even feeling quite confident that it's not a word, simply because it's very difficult to challenge, especially if you suspect your opponent knows hideable without that second E.
This isn't a
Uh,
word, is it?
I think it is. I
Is
think
it
this
still
is.
valid?
I think I think it oh, right, NWL 20. I didn't even think about that. So we do have this issue where the dictionary NWL 20 is a little different and fewer offensive words are in here. And I don't know if mofo, yeah, it says offensive slang. So maybe, but then again, this is so tricky because I just don't know.
I'm almost certain they took that out.
Yeah, they probably did. So I don't have.
No?
Maybe it's not
We
because
need to
it's
find
not.
it.
It may still be in there because it's not offensive on the basis of ethnicity or gender or
Oh, he
race.
had gray size.
Oh, he had that available. Yeah. Oh, that's not in this. That's
That's
not
not
in.
ours.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's
I'm
a
so
column.
confused. Okay, everything
All right.
about this game is incredibly confusing. Gray
Yeah,
size is not good like that?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's see. Hold on.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Wow.
there's
Okay.
some. There are some that are. So
Oh,
another bullet dodged there.
this
Um,
game is I don't know what's happening in this game.
And
Yeah,
look at what's being
veracity.
pointed out. All right, there is so much going on. Let's just do a quick recap. Let's do a quick recap.
Please help, Will. I can't. I
SR,
can't focus.
SR played the best bingo with both blanks of an amazing find of Guayacum. Then Orry correctly passed up a very plausible bingo of hideable, not in this dictionary, and played hauled instead to block the M of Guayacum in the triple lane. Cesar made a beautiful play of Mofo for 43, which we had to debate whether it's still good because it's right on the cusp of being one of those offensive words that were expurgated from the NWL 20 dictionary, but he correctly played it. It's still in that dictionary. And then Orry plays Cage, which is a nice play covering that triple lane and correctly passing up a semi-plausible bingo that we were debating of gray size, which is good in the Collins dictionary.
Yeah, this is why Ori's
Now,
better than me.
now we're waiting.
Oh,
Oh, a miss. Okay. So that's a nice idea by Cesar to extend adopt to adoptive, but he missed an enormous bingo opportunity there of veracity through the
damn.
R of Resojet, which would have allowed him to turn that CVY ugly combination into a bingo. That's a big, he's going to be upset about that. But remember, he's working on 3 hours sleep right now. I will tell you that. He was working late into the night to make those tweaks to Woogles tournament mode to make this tournament even happen. So let's cut Cesar a little break on that basis.
No, I don't cut Cesar any breaks. I mean, you can go right ahead.
All right, well, I'm trying. But yeah, that's a tough miss. That's a tough miss there for sure. No question. He's going to be upset when he sees that. And thank you
And
to Xenoclap for the follow. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Hope you enjoy the broadcast here.
what
Yeah,
now? Ori's at
yeah.
28. He should be down by like 30 or something.
After veracity, you're saying.
Or 20 maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. But Ori is in. He can't feel that comfortable. He's only up by 30 or so points. and um, he doesn't have a great way to address. There's a lot of openness on this board, right? So there's one S left unplayed, and that is a very scary thing because the hider's hook is just wide open, just very, very easy to hit. Also, she, right? Extending the HE of hauled and cage. You have another S hook there. And then you've got a wide open S in Renan's as well that you can hit, in addition to a lot of other threats that aren't quite as dangerous.
Yeah, I
So
don't like making this play, but it seems fine here, honestly. Um,
yeah. So the idea, Josh, of ow, what do you think about that thought
I
process?
might play. How much was Yeah, I would probably play that over Wiz. The problem is you're ahead. You don't want to leave yourself with these racks that really only work out for you when you draw into a bingo. The rack leave of AEILR will allow you to hit a bingo next turn a decent amount of the time to that S and Reneds, maybe with that B and Bizzes. But when you don't hit that bingo, you're just stuck with these tiles that can't score anything. So I actually like the idea of OW instead of WO in the same spot because at least if the bingo doesn't come down next turn, or he's creating a spot for him to overlap with Owl or OWE for at least 20 points. So if you're going to make a fishing play, as we keep mentioning fishing, which is playing off a couple tiles to maximize your chance at a bingo, if you're going to do that, you should at least leave yourself with certain outs. By outs, I mean, we talk about that in poker, but that means creating a spot where you can score. But we can see here that it worked
Wow,
out perfectly
he
for
drew
Orry.
it. Yeah, he hit his bingo. He well, I mean, on his two tile draw after leaving, as you said, Ariel, he drew that last S, right? So that was going to be the key tile no matter what. And he plucked it right out of the bag and slammed it down with railers. And that's going to be very difficult for Cesar to overcome. But very, very good points made by Josh there. Just about how you would proceed on that turn that Orry played Ow, right? You have to be careful of when you have that nice 50-point-ish lead of your tiles are telling you that you should try to go for another bingo. You've got these nice balanced low point tiles, but the score of the game is telling you that you don't have to do that. You just have to try to dodge a bingo from your opponent. But ultimately, I kind of feel like the board was open enough that dumping that OW is going to lead to situations where you bingo even without drawing the S a fair number of the time. It's a tough call. I don't think I dislike Ori's choice there. So
Yeah, I think it's probably the right play, but it's just
it's
ugly.
unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an unsatisfying play because it does open you up, as Josh said, to those situations where you draw two vowels, right? What if you draw two vowels to that lead? You're all of a sudden in extreme danger of getting outscored by even a decent scoring play somewhere else. So but all is well for Orry. It looks like Ori's going to run his record up to 5-0 after this game, barring something crazy like a failed challenge, which we've already seen one time.
Oh yeah, and Orry is very much capable of of turning this game around.
Yes, but ultimately, as we were saying before, Orry is a really really talented player, and I also think he's
He's so
very
good. Yeah.
clever. He's very clever with when to challenge. Like that Renan's turn was not the worst case. Like if assuming his confidence level in that word's validity was a certain, amount
It's
lower than
definitely low.
100,
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world to challenge it there for a couple reasons. He had such a good rack with that Z on it, and he knows his opponent's rack is completely random because they just bingoed. So decent chance to try a challenge there if he's not sure.
Yeah, I was worried about that. So that was suggested by Bill in chat to play AW there, but that sort of play as a comeback is really bad. Is really bad for Cesar. So it might have been better to play the AW at the K5 spot, making SAL and OW for Uh,
Ooh, yeah.
one what was it? One fewer point. Um, but we see cambered here. Um, this does come down, but it's too little, too late.
Little too late. Yep. So nice bingo there by Cesar, but Orry quickly finding, oh, I actually didn't occur to
Yeah, that
me.
was a huge threat. Also, I was going to mention. Yeah, the T hook on railers. There were three T's unseen on in the AW spot, and it was just like, okay, I just have to avoid everything here if I'm going to win the game. But
Yeah, and good point, Todovsky. It's definitely obviously the numbers. I don't know. I sort of do challenges more by feel than any kind of calculation. I don't think I calculate
because you
very
can.
much. I guess, yeah. But I certainly the calculus is massively different depending on the challenge rule that you play, and obviously, as you say, in double challenge, the penalty of a lost turn extremely severe. Not just for the points that you miss out on, but because it allows your opponent to get themselves in shape to bingo again much faster. It lets your opponent execute their plan with an extra turn to work with. So yeah, very, very. You got to be sure when you challenge in double. And Orry felt sure that either Hyder or Renans was not valid. It didn't turn out that was the case, but he's going to come out on top in this game nonetheless.
I think actually embraced would have been a better play there, even though it scores a little less, because you're setting up a huge X spot.
X. Yeah, X.
Um,
Oh, great idea.
I think given I mean, if we can go back to that position, just these tiny little nuances in the game, that's what gets me coming back and playing all the time.
We should look
Um,
after this game is
but
done. Let's look at that on the analysis board.
but
That's
yeah,
a great point.
I think normally, I mean, you're emptying the bag. Yeah, we'll look at it. Okay, Took was played. I don't know if there was anything much better than that. Probably just like Gook, maybe. No,
Yeah,
that
who
wasn't as
knows?
good.
That might be
Oh,
out.
that's not. Yeah, that's out actually. Oop, I
But
said a bad
yeah,
word.
it's nah, it's fine. It's I
There's
don't.
no Sokol. You could almost play Sokol through the S and L.
That's right. Josh's name, a valid word. Um, yeah. So all right. So Ori goes out with Genu, and that's it. Nicely played. With the exception of that challenge, I don't think there was. Well, what was there? Well, I guess for Ori, it was pretty well played, apart from the challenge. And then for Cesar, he's going to be upset that
Veracity.
he missed veracity. Yeah,
That
that's
was
going to be the key. But
humongous.
again, trying Scrabble is hard enough to play on a full night's sleep with no stress, and Cesar is trying to do this while also troubleshooting any issues that are coming up with the site itself. So I would love to look at that. That last play is so instructive that Josh found. Maybe if we cut to that analysis board, we can look at that and Josh can walk us through what he was talking about with these two plays. So let me just see if I can draw on this or not. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I am on this turn where Camber was played, right? So talk us through it, Josh. What should Cesar be thinking about here?
Well, first of all, should I promote physical fitness as Chad is asking me to do? Maybe I should do some jumping jacks, some push-ups. I don't know. I think maybe after a few more beers, we'll see.
Oh, that's a perfect compromise.
um,
Yes.
so okay, we're back in the spot where you can play cambered or embraced. Camber scores a little bit more because it doubles the D letter on the double letter score. But if you play embraced instead, you're creating a huge X bomb spot on the B column. And what happens after each of those plays? Well, you're emptying the bag. There are 7 tiles in the bag, and Pelf was the perfect play because leaving 7 tiles on the bag, that means if Cesar bingos, well, the bag is empty, and Ori has perfect knowledge of what Cesar can do in the end game, as we were mentioning earlier. Anyways, if you play Embraced instead, you get this position where you're down around 40 points and you need a miracle to win in the end game. If you draw into a bingo, well, Ori's just going to block. If you draw the X, though, you might get something like text with trailers, um, and another play scoring 50 plus points, and that might make it quite difficult for Ori to come back. Actually, text probably next to railers is more points. So drawing
Oh,
that X is
right, yeah.
key. Drawing that X is absolutely key to giving yourself a chance at winning the game, because if you draw into a bingo, the board is such that it's easily blockable. So you
Yeah.
have to threaten two things at the same time, and that's why I think Embraced was the better option for Cesar. I don't
And
know if in this
ultimately,
excuse me, in this specific instance, it would have helped because Tivy came
right.
down for a ton of points. But yeah, it was still an instructive moment.
Yeah, just I love what Josh said. How the thing that gets Josh, and I agree wholeheartedly. At this point in my Scrabble career, the thing that gets me the most excited is, is sort of sifting through those little nuances that separate plays and trying to really come up with the absolute most precise reason for making a play with those little nuances like Josh just described, where you're trying to create that outside chance of threatening an X play that your opponent is forced to block, maybe for a small score, and then give you something, else that makes the end game pretty tight, right? So there's I definitely don't think that you're going to win that much after Embraced, certainly not with optimal endgame play, but it's definitely a play that can make some tough positions for your opponent. And we are human beings after all. We're not Hasty Bot, we're not Quackle Championship player. You can win a lot of games by simply putting your opponent to the test, putting them in difficult positions that are hard to calculate. So there's always that way back into a game that works a little bit better against flesh and blood opponents than against some of the computer opponents that you might run. So Josh, I don't even know where you're going to start with some of these
Um,
impressions here.
yeah,
Also, I don't think I've gotten a single impression. They all
yeah,
want
I don't know
you.
what's going on. Like, Will is so much better than me. It's probably just because it's cheaper. I can't do Richard Simmons. I'd have to
I'm not
listen to a
sure.
video.
I'm not sure I can do. I'm not sure I feel like I would just need to listen to Richard Simmons once or twice to be able to, but
But
uh,
yeah, I'm
I
gonna
don't have it in
reject
my head.
those two. Sorry, Jellimocha. Sorry, Sir Fink. I'm
All right,
giving
I
you
can
your money
refund.
back.
I
No, I
can
already did
refund.
it. I already did it. I
Oh,
will not.
perfect.
I
That's
don't
right.
know how to do Richard Simmons. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sir Thing says, Josh, I asked for so little.
But yeah, Guayokum, what a play. There
Great
is
play by Cesar
probably
there.
no way I would ever see that.
Yeah, that's really, really nice play.
You
That's
have 4 vowels and you're looking through a vowel to
two
make a bingo?
U's.
Like, come on. What is
Two
that?
U's too.
That was amazing, Cesar.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely think this was a very well played game with those notable exceptions of Ori making that challenge, and then Cesar made one mistake right here, one big mistake in the middle. Oh, and Noah wants a Dave Koenig impression. I had to think about that. I bet I can probably do. Um,
Yeah,
I will get
definitely.
back to you on that, Noah. Um, Let me think about that. But yeah, this was the key moment for Cesar. Again, just that happens, right? As I often say, a lot of plays that we can make in Scrabble are plays that we see 99% of the time. And that feels pretty good, right? But what that means is one time out of 100, you make a mistake that drives you nuts. And sometimes it's very difficult to go from that 99% to 100. I think that's incredibly challenging. It's the ongoing, never-ending challenge, in fact.